Hi guys, it's Cynthia.
And it's Ernesto.
And this is another episode of our YouTube channel, We're Politique.
And today we're going to be talking about foreign policy.
Yes, because we have elections coming in November 3rd. And there's the possibility, of course, that there will be a change of administration. So we're going to pretty much do an analysis of what Joe Biden would most likely have to deal with in the next 4 years and what would his approach would be. And we're also going to do the same for the Trump administration.
Mm-hmm.
Those who would trade our freedom for the soup kitchen of the welfare state have told us they have a utopian solution of peace without victory. They call their policy accommodation. And they say if we'll only avoid any direct confrontation with the enemy, he'll forget his evil ways and learn to love us. All who oppose them are indicted as warmongers. They say we offer simple answers to complex problems. Well, perhaps there is a simple answer. Not an easy answer, but simple. If you and I have the courage to tell our elected officials that we want our national policy based on what we know in our hearts is morally right, we cannot buy our security, our freedom from the threat of the bomb, by committing an immorality so great as saying to 1 billion human beings now enslaved behind the Iron Curtain, give up your dreams of freedom, because to save our own skins, we're willing to make a deal with your slave masters. Alexander Hamilton said, a nation which can prefer disgrace to danger is prepared for a master and deserves one.
In order to understand a second Trump presidency in terms of foreign policy, we have to take a look at what he's currently doing. And what has been going on for the past few weeks, in the news at least, has been the peace treaties that he has engaged in. Whatever the reason may be for Nobel Prize or for getting voters, the fact is that he has made peace deals between Serbia and Kosovo, between Israel and other Arabic regions, including the UAE. So we have to see how that plays out.
Yeah, and we just got news today that also Bahrain signed the treaty as well. So this is obviously, we expect probably more Arab countries to go ahead and follow suit. What I do see about this tendency and all these peace treaties is that we are in a place where we're trying to move away from the Middle East. We are retracting from that region. And it did not start with Trump. It started with Obama's second term when in 2012, he pulled like the most troops out of Iraq. And we also saw that about 2 days ago, Trump, taking more troops out as the Iraqi government gave us an ultimatum of leaving Iraq. And this has been the tendency since 2012 to kind of leave the Middle East into giving it more autonomy. We have seen Russia and Turkey move in, and they're actually the ones that are more actively in the region, along with Iran and Saudi Arabia. We are kind of from like behind. We just actually want to move away from it. It has cost us a lot, and perhaps that has to do with it. And what we are still, we still have to solve the Israel-Palestine issue, which is why you see these peace treaties happening. And it also means that we're delegating and that we are giving Israel the kind of stability that they need to be in the region. Does not mean that we're going to completely disengage, but we won't be at the vanguard of things in the Middle East. And I personally, this is a personal opinion, that this move is more tied to Pompeo, the Secretary of State, than it is from Trump, because at the beginning of his administration, the first, I believe, 2 years, they were, and actually last year, they were actively trying to push for the annexation of the
Palestine, the West Bank.
Of the West Bank, and suddenly this is no longer the priority because in the treaty, the UAE actually specifically talks about completely, forgetting about the annexation or at least delaying it for a few years. So this is a shift, I believe, in the administration, and I think it's coming from Pompeo and his the history that he has as an intelligence community officer, and I think that is where it comes from. And perhaps Trump, I from the beginning, I don't think that Trump has really cared about foreign policy much. What I do know is that he's aware that China is a threat and he's been trying to make moves on that.
The question now is, with the shift away from the Middle East, where is that pivot going to go to in Trump's second presidency? The belief is that it's going to Asia. Regardless, it's going to end up going to Asia. And right now, the most pressing issue, the fastest issue that Donald Trump has to face in a second term in Asia has to be the stance with Japan, which, for the most part, the only prime minister who seems to have a kind of friendly relationship with Donald Trump has been Shinzo Abe, outside of North Korea's dictator, which, by the way, doesn't even listen to him. All right? It has been Shinzo Abe. The thing is, Shinzo Abe has admonished he left the throne. Right now, Japan is in the process of finding a new prime minister. I believe the most important part within the first year of a Trump presidency, once the prime minister is chosen, is for Trump to befriend that prime minister. The fact is that we have historical alliance with Japan after the bomb, where it shows that there's been that kind of connection unbroken between the two countries. It is the most comfortable country that we have in Asia.
And it has been, I believe it's like our number one partner in countering China, which is where we want to go with the whole pivot to Asia. So we obviously, it's important, the relationship with Japan, but the main focus, I believe, is going to be China. And you already see it from the Trump administration. He's already been hostile since the beginning. And he did try to, I guess, to be friendly with Xi, but lately, after the whole coronavirus situation, he has been completely hostile. And this is what we expect of him doing from now on, just ramping up as much as he can, because, to be honest, China is the biggest threat right now for us as a country.
Moving on for the first year in terms, Hong Kong is going to play a part within the next second to third year of a Trump presidency. The reason being the hostile takeover of Hong Kong by China. While it's not a direct takeover in a military sense of the word, it's definitely a takeover in the sense of security, infrastructure, institution, and overall look of the country. They already moved forward by passing laws where there are a list of words that you cannot say, otherwise you're going to be arrested. Books have already been written over, and Xi Jinping thought, which is the norm of China right now when it comes to spreading their views, is already starting to be thought in Hong Kong. Needless to say, I predict that on the next election cycle of Hong Kong, say 2022, 2 years into his presidency, there's going to be an exodus, a mass exodus from Hong Kong. In this case, Trump has nothing to lose anymore. He's not going to have another re-election. It's going to be very key for him to understand the importance of human capital when it comes to the conflict with Asia. It is on his best interest to have them come into the United States.
Which is something that has not come easy to Trump. Since the beginning of his campaign back in 2016, he's been extremely vocal about his issue with immigration. He started, with Mexico and so on and so forth, but that's not the majority of the people coming into the United States. It's not from Mexico. It is from China and India, and it's just basically people overstaying their visas in the end. And we're gonna leave, if you want some information underneath, so you can actually verify that what I'm saying is true, because you gotta fact check. And this is not something that, even if it's going to be his last term and that you might think he will have a change of heart, I do believe that it'll go against everything that he's been saying since he got to the presidency, and it's something that he will not be open to. Right now, we are not open to any immigration whatsoever. And as Ernesto was telling me earlier, every single process, every single visa that comes in, everything is pretty much just stopped. And because of the coronavirus, but they also have to pay an extra $500 every time that they want to request a visa. And we already know that this country is a country based on immigration. I do not see him actually opening up. And we want to obviously talk about Biden administration, and because there's a possibility that he will win.
And for him, the very first thing he has to do is approach the mistakes that were committed under the Trump presidency within the United States. You cannot, at least in the ideology behind spreading democracy, not by force, but by talk and words, you cannot have an undemocratic situation in your country before you're able to do that outside of the sphere of your influence, all right? Our partners are able to understand Europe, Latin America. They're able to understand, they're able to have flexibility. But when it comes to the main enemy, as we have already said, is China, you need to at least show that aura of democratic stability in your country. He's going to be doing this concurrently with the countries where we have lost that kind of connection and that kind of friendship with under a Trump presidency. These countries are mostly in Europe: Germany, Italy, France.
Pretty much what Trump has been doing is just, undermine every single alliance and partnership that we have with Europe. Of course, behind closed doors is a different story. We will never really know what's going on, but you do see the alienation and you do see the distance that it was not there before. And Biden, I'm pretty sure that that's what he's trying to do. He's going to have to appeal to them. And it's not going to be like an arduous task or anything like that, but it is necessary in order to counter China because Europe in general does not trust China, except for Italy, which again is something that I also saw in person when I went there last year, that there's like a massive influx of Chinese migrants, and not only just migrants trying to look for a job, but actually opening business. The port of Naples was completely full of like Chinese containers coming in all the time, and even like the bathrooms had like instructions in Mandarin. So this is like a takeover, I say, like, or progressive takeover. They have a strong foothold in Italy, and they actually helped them with the coronavirus after the EU turned their back on them. At the beginning, of course, they had to realize that was a mistake. But yes, the first few months they were, out on their own, and China obviously sweeps in.
Helping is kind of an understatement because they have a $2 billion debt that they have to pay off to China. So it was more of a loan than it was to actually gift equipment.
Yeah, but that's what China wants. They want this type of leverage.
Exactly.
They want people to owe them. And I believe you mentioned this to me as well, that they pay off Philippines debt as well. So now that's actually what they try to do. And Biden definitely knows this, and he knows that Obama tried to engage them with diplomacy and tried to engage them with treaties, and China does not respect diplomacy or treaties. It's not in their it's not ingrained in their culture. It's not something that they're used to do. What they know for sure, and this is going to be an agreement, I believe, in when it comes to all foreign policy experts and people that have dedicated their time to study China, that they are about survival, and they think about long term. So that's all they care about. They care about being China, and they've been China for 1,000, 2,000 years. So
since 400 BC.
Exactly. So that's what they care about. They care about that longevity. And that's something that Biden already knows, which is why he's trying to do this summit. And we will definitely, hopefully, see this kind of reconstruction happening. But this is, again, just conjecture because we do not know that he's going to win the election. But we do see him actively engaging with Europe. And then what he's going to do with China, I believe we might not see that in the next 4 years, per se. This is just kind of setting the base and going back to, what we were before, pretty much, and like having our allies back and our strong footholds. And we're actually also in Africa, so perhaps we will strengthen there too. And then I guess he will obviously take on China if he does the second term. But it is an imminent threat, and we need to be able to deal with them. And it takes just more than just an administration. It takes a collective effort. This is the end for today. And if you want to know a little bit more about China, then look for our next video.
And the link down there.
Yeah, we're going to list all the information that we already do regularly. So, bye.